Oregon Circuit Court Judge Vance could be forced off the bench. The conservative Christian and Republican says he's the victim of liberal politics in a deep blue state.
Because I stood quietly for natural marriage at a point where the state was quickly turning toward gay marriage, I was targeted, I believe, to send a message to other judges who had the same perspective I do. And that is, if you err or you state your perspective in any way, shape, or form to the public about your beliefs, then you have no place on the bench.
The state's Commission on Judicial Fitness and Disability said Day violated his oath of office by committing 8 ethics violations, and it unanimously recommended his removal. The commission accused Day of telling his staff to make sure no same-sex couples were brought before him for marriage ceremonies, of creating improper relationships with defendants, and of allowing a convicted felon to handle a gun, among other charges.
So are all these allegations false?
We proved they were false. The allegations that the commission threw at me, as one person has said, it was like throwing the kitchen sink at somebody. I believe their main point was, we don't think that you're a proper person. You don't fit our model as a judge. They never quite articulated why. They just came up with a variety of allegations.
Day believes his case was the result of what he calls a perfect storm.
But it just happened to happen or occur at a time where politics was coming to an apex, and anybody who said anything about natural marriage who held an elected position would suffer, I think, some persecution.
So you believe that you're the victim of a political vendetta based on your stance on same-sex marriage?
My opinion, based upon what I've seen in the last 2 years, is that I think same-sex marriage and that issue has complicated what should have been a very simple, straightforward ethics case. I don't think they expected me to fight. They came to me and my attorneys and said, if you just resign, this will all go away. I can't resign. I didn't do anything wrong. I simply, as a person of faith, chose to recuse myself from a non-judicial act and stay in conformity with my principles. They can get married by somebody else. Just please don't ask me to do it. That's all I said.
Day says Oregon does not require its judges to preside over weddings. Judge Day appealed the commission's decision, and his case is now before the state Supreme Court. However, his legal troubles don't stop there. He also faces a criminal indictment. The charges stem from Day's time as the judge presiding over the Marion County Veterans Treatment Court and his interactions with a Navy SEAL who was a convicted felon and defendant in the court. Day is accused of allowing the SEAL to possess and control guns on 2 separate occasions. Like the alleged ethics violations, Day says the criminal charges are politically motivated.
I've testified in the past about what did happen. I didn't aid and abet a felon in the possession of a firearm, ever. I never would do that, and I never did.
Former Virginia Governor Bob McDonnell told CBN News he believes Day will be found innocent. McDonnell was a friend of Day's, and the two were classmates at Regent University. He's also no stranger to the courts. McDonnell faced 2 years in prison after being convicted of political corruption, but the United States Supreme Court voted unanimously to overturn his conviction.
Does Judge Day's case remind you of what you went through?
Absolutely. I believe from the very beginning of this, I was shocked to the core of my being when I found out that I was being investigated by law enforcement authorities. I've been doing this for 38 years in public service and always try to do what I thought was right. And so Judge Day and I have talked a lot over the last 3 or 4 or 5 months as he's walked his walk, and I've tried to encourage him. He's a man of immense faith. I see him keeping his head up. I see him relying, sold out, totally trusting in the Lord for vindication.
Do you believe that you will be acquitted?
I will be acquitted. I will fight for that acquittal in the criminal case. I deserve a jury trial. I want that jury trial because I can prove things in that jury trial that the commission did not allow us to prove, stopped us, in my opinion, from presenting evidence.
Judge Day has a hearing on motions to dismiss the criminal indictment later this month. And in June, he makes his case on the ethics violations before the Oregon Supreme Court. Mark Martin, CBN News.
And yeah, they're going to kick me off the court. They have the power. But God has a bigger purpose in this.